and the worship leaders are volunteers, which means we all have day jobs, basically, something else going on in our world. So I'd love to hear, what is your name and what do you do during the week?
Hi, Ryan. My name's James. During the week, I'm a lawyer. Which isn't that exciting, but great to be here with you all. That's all.
I'm Jay, and I work for a clothing company, fashion retail.
Can't you tell?
I'm Fee, and I am a mum to an almost 2-year-old, and I'm a speech pathologist.
My name is Scott. I am a little bit different. I am employed by our church full-time as the music director, and I don't always get to come on these CityAlight trips, so it's a beautiful thing that I can be here, and I love it, especially for the portion sizes.
Glorious thing. Hey, Hugh, do you want to just pop your hand up there? This is Hugh. Can we say hi, Hugh? Hugh is the master on the keys. He's going to be coming around now with a microphone. If you've got a question, just ping your hand up and he'll come your way, all right?
He's also got perfect pitch, so if you see him this week, just yell a note at him.
Yeah.
And he'll answer it back to you perfectly.
Yeah. So any questions you've got for us in terms of our ministry, our songwriting or anything like that. But I'm going to start a question. All of these guys here are part of the songwriting team at CityAlight. I'm going to ask Fee first. Fee, talk to us about what you love the most about songwriting. What is it about the process that you love the most?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, I keep coming back to this idea of fruitfulness. And what I mean by that is, God actively working in us and through His Word and bringing fruit, bearing fruit when we're in His Word. And what I find awesome about the songwriting process is the actual process itself. A lot of the time, I think it is so similar to like a spiritual devotional practice, or I hope that it can be that. And what I mean by that is, like, I kind of think of the Psalm 1 picture of, how blessed you are when you are planted by streams of water, and when you're meditating on the Word of God day and night. And I find that in the conversations that I have with my friends when we're getting in a room to write a song, or the time that's unseen and just for me and God, the songwriting process just kind of calls me to dive deeper and deeper into something of God until I kind of get really confused about what it actually means, and then hopefully come out with some clarity on the other side. But I just find it this beautiful thing that is so fruitful for a church and for a ministry and for a group of people, and I just find it such a devotional process. And so if it's something that you're doing a little bit or something that you're interested in trying, I would encourage you to start right there, just meditating on His Word and trying to find a way to express something of Him by yourself or with your friends.
I think that's great, because how many songwriters were in the room? I missed when the hands went up. Okay. So you guys know the panic of you finished a song and the one question that just buzzes in your head is, did I just waste my time? Is that just terrible? Like, does this sound terrible? I can't tell anymore. But to Fee's point, when we're writing congregationally, there is no such thing as wasted time. It's the most beautiful quiet time you'll get is trying to write a song. So All right, Hugh, you got a question for us, please?
Hi. So, I was curious about, as worship leaders, particularly, I find the CityAlight songs to be very personal, but also very communal. How do you each balance the horizontal element of worship with the vertical, so like the personal with the communal elements of leading worship?
I think very much goes into the song selection process, so making sure the song assists you in that process. We try very hard to write songs that are true, that encourage you personally. So they're theologically true, they're personally convicting, and they're also beautiful, they are emotive. So when you have a song that captures all of that, a really good song, it makes that job a lot easier. But I think a lot of it is preparation. So doing that vertical work before the platform, spending time with God, and understanding, okay, what's this song going to do for the congregation? How are they going to be encouraged by what I say, or how are they going to be drawn nearer to God? And then once you do that preparation before vertically yourself, it's a lot easier to then sort of be directional for the congregation because you've put in the work before then. So that would be the answer. Yeah.
I think too, in the songwriting process, we have a song panel, which we submit the songs to this panel, and the panel then review the songs and we talk through it, and we have now some criteria that we go through. And so some of the criteria actually, we will come back to the writer and say, maybe this song does feel more just a personal, individual reflection, that maybe it doesn't capture that congregational element, so that it's not filled with universal, timeless truths that everyone can really get behind and sing. If it is down the angle of too specific and too personal, it does have the risk of not having as much connection with everyone in the church. And so some of the feedback that we will give is to either maybe this is a song that's more aimed at the individual, and that's okay, or maybe there can be some tweaks and changes that will help make it a more collective song, if that makes sense.
That's great. Yeah, Hugh.
Another one here.
So our family recently took some of your music into Zambia, Africa, and we saw a lot of fruit there through that, and we've seen on your website that you're writing for small churches. So I would love if you have any examples of how your music's being used, and even just advice for people who are working in other cultures with the music that you write.
That is such a great question. It's something we think about a lot. When we first started writing, one of the major criticisms we would get is that people would say our songs were boring. And in fact, we still get it from time to time. But they would say it's quite predictable. Melodies are predictable. And it was meant as an insult, but we took it as a compliment because actually that's what the old folk songs do. Folk songs are, you almost know where the line's going before you go there, and where the next one does. And a lot of those folk songs just use the pentatonics. We try and just write around the pentatonic scale, because that actually transcends cultures quite well as well. So for us, that's kind of one of the things that we work on, is making sure that the melody is simple and able to travel. Most of us grew up in quite small churches with one person who plays, they just started learning the guitar, and another person who plays the flute, and it's like, how are we going to make this work? And so we've tried to intentionally write for that environment. Some of our songs do that pretty well, some don't, but that is sort of our North Star that we're trying to do. Yeah, great question, and that is very exciting to hear. It's going to Zambia. Oh my goodness me, thank you. Yeah.
All right, I've got another one over here.
Hi, my name is Brian. I'm from California. I'm here with my wife, Tricia, here today. Some years ago, my son began playing CityAlight music, and I got interested in it. Now, all I listen to basically is CityAlight, whether I'm underneath the car or on the roof. But do you guys in
Wait, did you say
of,
whether you're underneath the car or on the roof? Were they the two situations?
Right. Working on my car underneath it, or up on the roof of my house fixing it?
Oh, I see.
Do you guys have time in your busy schedules still to perform and participate at your local church where you guys may have begun? And if someone were to make a trek across the sea, do you have time to fellowship with people at your church still?
Yeah.
Yes, is the short answer. I guess one of the things that we are all really committed to is volunteering at church on a week-to-week basis. And really, we were all volunteers at church serving in the worship team before CityAlight officially, I guess, formed into a thing. And so I guess for us, we have all decided that a key part, of the Christian faith is being a part of the body and serving and contributing to the body. And so that's something that each of us in our lives have prioritized as part of our faith and our devotional journey. And so really it's a case of when you then, I guess, add things like the songwriting and that sort of thing on top of that, I've got to say we're all very blessed to have very supportive families who are on board with the mission of what we're trying to do as well. But I suppose, as sort of what Fee was saying, doing the songwriting and making space for that is just a part of our daily devotion to God, and it's part of sort of growing closer to Him on a daily basis. And so, yeah, I guess it's a commitment. It's something that we're committed to, but we also learn so much more about God and draw nearer to Him as we do that and as we journey with that. And so, yes, it takes time, but it's time well spent and well invested because it draws us closer to the King.
I think too, one of the things that we've really tried to avoid is any sort of green room culture or anything like that at our church. We've learned from other people that have sort of done that. They've protected their musicians and their artists and their songwriters in other contexts. And they would come to us and say, don't ever do that. It creates such an unhealthy divide internally. So all the guys here, they just serve, we just go to church. We get visitors to our church. We would love to have you, but people come from across the world to our church and they're like, oh, okay, it's like a normal suburban church. They're very underwhelmed by it. You're very welcome to come and we would love to hang out with you if you do. But it is just like going to church anywhere else, yeah. Hugh, would you go first?
Yeah, I'll go on right in the middle. Would you have any advice for people who are just beginning to write songs?
Scott.
Yes, I just keep going. I feel like that's pretty cliche advice, but I feel like you just have to write so many songs before you start really getting to some good songs a lot of the time. I mean, it may not be the case for everyone. I know that I have a pile of horrible songs, and then just building on those songs, finally you start learning and shaping and you realize what doesn't work, what works, and you just keep going and going and trying stuff out, knowing that you're gonna have to write a lot of bad stuff and that you'll get to the good stuff. But also writing with people, that's not something I had done much of until the last several years, and it can be really confronting because you're putting your ideas out there to be possibly shot down and rejected, which can be really hard as a creative person. But to be writing with other people, they can really pick up on maybe stuff that you're missing, and they can bring things from another angle. Especially, I know I often get caught in just within my own head of the song that I'm writing, and sometimes bringing someone else in to step outside of your own mind can be so refreshing and really take the song in a different direction. So I think that would be two things, is just keep writing, knowing that there'll be a lot of bad stuff, and write with people.
I had a guitar teacher that once told me quantity produces quality. So just write as much as you can. And then the other thing I think is, when you don't have a goal for the song, it can be very difficult. So we're lucky now that we always have a project coming up and always thinking about. When you don't have that, I remember in the very early days, it can be so discouraging because it's like, what am I doing this for? No one's ever going to hear it. But I think that's what we're trying to get across, is just love the wrestle of chasing a song for what it does for your own spirit. Doing it with friends is the best thing. If you can find one other person to try it with, so much more valuable, because the time you both get, like we've all written songs together, and the conversations that come out of the room are better than the song that comes out of the room half the time. So be encouraged that you can just sit there, pray with a brother or sister, chase after a song, and you'll come out better for it, no matter what the result of the song is. You'll be blessed every time, I would say. Yeah.
I've got another one over here. I'm actually just going to cut in my cue, but I will come back to you guys. I'll start with you next.
We have about 12 more minutes.
What is the process of each of you, or on the average, how do you become a member of CityAlight? What does that look like?
The answer to that is you just have to go to St Paul's Castle Hill. There is actually to write for CityAlight, you just need to go to the church, basically, be a member of the church. So, and then to play in CityAlight, as in to be chosen to come up on stage, I believe, Scott, it's that you've got to be serving on a Sunday. You've kind of got to be,
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, each of us are serving. Anyone that has been on a CityAlight trip or in an event has been part of the Sunday music team. But in terms of songwriters, we have people that have been at St. Paul's for 6 months. We have people that have been at St. Paul's for 10 years. Anyone can submit a song and we'll provide feedback. And if that's something that the songwriters want to keep working on, then I love working with them. The panel will provide feedback. So it is people from St. Paul's Church. CityAlight is a ministry of St. Paul's.
Just to add to that then, maybe James and Jay, do you want to add like how normal and common it is just to be at St. Paul's like any other church, your journey going through, playing at youth, being lots of Fridays, now getting in Sunday, like tell me a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose a lot of us have played together for a long time, even going back to when we were in high school. We would play chapel services and that sort of thing together. And really, I suppose, what we have probably all benefited from is actually the sort of week to week or Friday to Friday serving in things like our youth ministry. Going away together, doing youth camps, no sound checks. And we've learned, I suppose, to sort of grow together and experience not only just playing songs together, but actually doing life together and having these experiences together. And one of the things about CityAlight is you might have noticed if you've ever seen us at one event and then we've come back a few years later, you'll see different faces on the platform. It's not necessarily just the same sort of group of people. And so, anyone in our worship team can jump in and be a part of the team effectively. And because we serve together regularly anyway, it's sort of like, we can sort of mix and match, I suppose, a little bit. And then we sort of represent the ministry together.
Great, I've got another one right here too.
In your church, as you communicate with your pastors, how do you plan for each week's corporate worship?
That's a great question. So we get rostered on, like I'm sure most of you would know, that you do at church, and we have different teams. So we're lucky enough to have 4 separate teams, one for each week of the month. And so there's a team leader for each month who's responsible for communicating with the pastor, usually 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. Sometimes the pastors don't have any requests or anything like that, but I'll usually just shoot Keith a text and say, hey Keith, what are you thinking for September the 20th? Let me know if God's put anything on your heart that you'd like. He might suggest a song, or he might say, no, nothing, you choose, and then I'll go through the passage. So read through the scripture, I'll pray, ask God, is there something that you want us to sing this Sunday? Usually he will answer with something, and so we choose our 4 songs and communicate to the team as early as possible. I sometimes do it a bit too late, unfortunately. My team sometimes gets upset. But so we share the songs and then we rehearse on the Thursday before Sunday service, and then we play Sunday 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
All right, we've got time for one more question.
Maybe the band jump up while we're...
I got one right here.
Why don't you guys come on up?
Awesome. Thank you, God, for your ministry. I really appreciate what you do. My question, do you ever face any fear or pressure of topping what you've done as songwriters or creatives? And if so, how do you cope with that?
You're a songwriter then? No? Okay. It's quite a poignant question you're asking, because I think I think that is definitely a thing that you want to be getting better, but at the same time, the second that you start chasing better, your songs become worse, actually. So this is where you have to be in the Word first. You have to have a strong walk with the Lord before you attack congregational rising. I think if you're a pop writer, let that be a whip at your back, I guess. But if you're going to serve the church, you have to be asking the question, what should the church be singing, or what could the church be singing, as opposed to how do I write a smash song. Otherwise, you'll end up in this vortex of just chasing kind of a meaningless song, really. So I think one of the things that we keep trying to say to our team is ask yourself the question, what do we feel like the church could benefit from singing here? So yeah, that's an excellent question, man. I want to say that, but we'll kind of run out of time.
Yeah, I was just going to add one more thing.
Yeah.
We also are very intentional about the feeling that you sometimes get, which is, I hope my song gets on a project, and then your song gets on a project, and you find out it didn't satisfy that feeling. And then you say, well, I hope my song is the title of a project. And then it becomes the title, and it doesn't satisfy you. And then you think, okay, maybe my song could be listened by X amount of people. That happens. It doesn't satisfy you. And it just never ends. You'll just push and push and push and push, and you'll find that you're never satisfied. So right at the beginning, we made the decision that that's not the metric we're going to be chasing after. We're going to find our satisfaction in the Lord, and He will do what He wants to do. And that's sort of how we've approached it, and He's blessed it. But we had our priorities right first, I think. And we're also not doing anything new. We're just writing folk melodies, basically. Like, they're all already a thing.
That's good. I feel like a phrase that we throw around a lot is loose hands. So fighting for that song in the sense of fighting for the truth and the beauty of expressing who God is, and for the church, words for the church to sing, because that is incredibly important and a very weighty mantle to carry. But once that song is submitted and it's, it's kind of submitting to that process and trusting God in that process. So loose hands, whether this goes somewhere or not, my obedience is the most important thing. Yeah.
All right, we're going to sing another song. Oh yeah, why don't you pray for us, Joe?
I'm going to pray for these guys. And then we're going to sing one more song, and then we'll send you out. Let's pray together. God, we just thank you so much